Hi, imagine with me a zoo. It's filled with animals, and all the animals are elements of non-profit corporations. You've got the non-profit corporation, the non-government organization, the tax-exempt ministry, the unincorporated association, otherwise known as a club, and finally the self-employed ministry. These are all different animals, and it will help you to understand what kind of organizations work in what kind of situations. Then consider the batch of numbers that are in this zoo. There's a state corporate charter number. The IRS gives you a federal taxpayer identification number. The city will give you a sales tax license account. The IRS will issue you a 501c3 letter saying that you are tax exempt for income tax purposes. But the most common question I'm asked is, what is your tax exempt number? And the truth is, there ain't no such animal as a tax exempt number. You'll learn all this stuff in the handbook I've written called Steps to a 501c3 Nonprofit Organization. In the handbook, we start by defining the scope of your ministry, and I'll show you some tricks to narrow that down, but at the same time keep it broad enough to cover whatever else you might do. We'll talk about how to get the right people on board and the roles that they play. In the world of nonprofits, you don't have stockholders, but what you do have is staff, board, advisors, councils. You have you have president, you have chairman, you have volunteers, and you have donors. We'll talk about all of those things. I can give you some tips on who to put on your board of directors and what the functions of the board of directors are. We'll talk about corporate structure and how to develop a bylaws that serves your organization and doesn't hinder it. I can tell you how to be friends with the IRS and what the IRS wants and expects and needs from you as a nonprofit organization. We'll even cover some tips on filling out the dreaded Form 1023, the application for recognition as a tax-exempt organization under 501c3. I've done several of these things, and they're not nearly as foreboding as you might think. And then finally, we'll talk about bank accounts for the corporation and who should sign on those checks and how many, and some pitfalls to watch there. All in all, this is about A to Z, simple steps to set up your own 501c3 nonprofit organization and do ministry. God bless you as you launch into this endeavor.